also a principal editor at Fourth Wave. So I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Patsy Ferguson. I'm the editor-in-chief of Fourth Wave. We have 54,000 followers on Medium, where writers get paid. So please look for us there. And we're sponsoring this event to reach out to others. I'm glad to be here.
Hello, my name is Muniba and I am from Pakistan. I am principal editor of Fourth Wave and I am very happy to be here. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Luke Olinga. I'm from Cameroon and a citizen of France. I live in New York. I'm a writer, journalist, and freelance, and thank you for having me.
Okay, so today we'll be talking about an article I wrote. It's titled, Where Do Men Learn to Hate Women So Early? So I wrote this article after reading this series. I think I read this article last month or last upper month. I can't remember exactly when, but I was late to watching it. The series has been out for quite a while. So when the series came out, and a lot of the reviews I saw were focused on the misogyny and how this little 13-year-old boy was already an irredeemable misogynist. And I found that very shocking. Some people even said they were scared just watching him. Like, they said it was so disrespectful. Like, his tone changes when he's talking to women and all of that. So I watched it expecting to see all of this. But what stood out to me in the series was the way society shaped him, the bullying he experienced, and everything that led him to what he did, which is killing a girl. That's very horrific. But yeah, what stood out to me most was the influence that society had on him and everything that led to him committing the act. So we're going to go into just the conversation. So I'm going to start with some stats. So according to statistics, men kill approximately 50,000 women yearly. That's quite a number, because like, I think it's hippos. They said they killed like 500 people yearly, and sharks kill maybe 5 to 10. But they are considered very deadly creatures. Like, if you see them, you would run. And it's obvious that 50,000 in a year, that's quite a number. So I don't know. My first question that I think we should discuss is why these stats are not given as much urgency as they should. And also, another stat is one in 3 women have been sexually harassed or assaulted by men in their lifetime. And like, everybody I know, every woman I know has experienced some kind of assault by men. Like, women are scared of going outside because they are going to, like, women are scared of going out at night because they are going to be men outside. So, like, all of these stats, why do you think, especially the one of the 50,000 women killed yearly by men, why do you think they are not given as much urgency as they should be? And do you know what the stats is on femicide in your society, in where you live currently?
Well, I do know because I looked it up. I wrote a story a while back about a woman who was killed in the army, and she was killed by her fellow service people, men, and actually, I first heard the word femicide when someone turned in a story about protests in Mexico where women were protesting femicide. They were having big marches. And one of the pictures from that actually used in the masthead on Fourth Wave, she was holding up a sign that says, "You don't protect us, you rape us." And it was a comment on some policemen or prison guards were raping women prisoners, and policemen. And then this woman had been killed by her partner, etc. So I heard that word femicide, which I'd never heard before in that story. And I looked it up and I realized that in the United States, it's also an issue that 3 women a day are killed, and 4 being a woman. The reason it's called femicide, I mean, homicide is kill any human, but femicide is you kill a woman because she's a woman. So it's not just that you hate women, but it's usually your ex-wife, your ex-girlfriend, or your current girlfriend or wife. But the difference is you're killing someone who you're in a relationship with. So a lot of homicides are related to burglary or gang fights or whatever. They're not because they're not in these intimate relationship kind of murders. So 3 a day in the US, it's a lot. It's a lot. And we don't use that word. Our press doesn't say femicide. It doesn't address it. I don't know why. How about in your culture, Moni? We're going to.
Okay, I have lots of stories on this topic. There is one in which one woman was beheaded by her best friend because she said no to marriage. One TikToker who is 17 years old, and she said no to her fan, and he killed her. And was like seen that father killed his daughter because she was tennis player and she was earning money and more than her father, and he killed her because of this. Like there are so many stories, there are so many, and like Patsy said, that I was shocked when I read the word femicide, that it is some kind of like there is a term about it, that women, the person killed because of her gender is called femicide. Like it is like shocking thing for me. There are many more stories. Like I wrote one about Kandil Baloch. She was killed by her brother, and now recently in like it is very near me, one woman killed by 8 men in front of like big crowd, and because she chose to marry someone, she was killed in front of her brothers and cousins, by her brother, by like there are so many stories, and all of these things involve men. I don't know what like there was no women in the crowd. It were only men. There was not one woman. She was only women, and facing the crowd of like 16, 17 men, and they were looking at her, and our brother come and shot her. Video was very viral in my country. There was news, but it's been 3 months and no arrests, nothing.
Yeah. I don't know if I am the right person to talk about this, but the only thing I can say from my perspective as someone who observes society is that the word femicide is used now in France and in all the Francophone world. Cameroon, France, one of the newspaper in France, like Libération, for example, has almost like a column, a daily where it reports about femicide, all the time. And the other thing I also know is like, as I said to you guys, I went to Cameroon in September and October I was there. And I was told about a big femicide that became very well known in the country because I don't know if because the woman was a professional or if it's just people had enough, where her husband, who was having mistresses and went to kill her, and the problem is that it was not the problem, it was not even that people didn't care. What the outrage came from the fact that he was arrested and then he was tried and the judge didn't convict him, even though you had all the evidence, you have testimonies. And another problem is that the judge was a woman. That's where even the more outrage. So many women went non-profit, people went on the street with men, the whole country. And he was arrested again because of the outrage, because they enough, this is not possible. That we all, there are witnesses, everyone, that it was a heartbreaking, story for the whole country. I believe it was at that moment, it happened like a year ago. The whole country said that we have a problem. And I believe you have the same kind of thing in France. In the US, I don't know. Now, what I believe I can talk, I believe not to explain where it come from, but the source based on the story you wrote, Esther, about, how do we shape man, I grew up, I was born in Cameroon, in a very, in a poor family, and I can speak from that. I don't want to generalize, but from when I grew up, men beating women, it was almost natural. It's something, as a kid, as a young boy, I saw men doing it. And in some ways, the way it was seen as love, showing love to the woman. That's as a kid, that's the understanding I had, and that's the way people were talking about it. And myself, which is going to be interesting here, my parents separated, and so I grew up with my mom, of course. And then my mom, because in Cameroon, a woman who didn't get married was considered a prostitute. So a woman has to be married. So most of the women I know when I grew up, they wanted to get married, regardless. They would do anything, at least to have a man. And my mom she met someone like that who was beating her. You can imagine, I was a young boy, I was like 7 or 8. It was heartbreaking, and mostly the society shapes us as you have to be the provider, the protector, the leader. So as the first boy, I was supposed to protect. That was the way it was. And then you see that you cannot do anything because you see that it was my mother, skin was, if you see it, she damaged her skin. What stopped it? What stopped it is that I got a scholarship from the French government. So I went to France, and being able to do, work in McDonald's, having my odd jobs. So after like 6 months, I asked to call and I asked to talk to him. And I said to him very seriously, it's unfortunately, I'm going to say it here. I said to him, if you ever touch my mom again, I will pay people to kill you. I will send my money and people will kill you. Because he continued, and then he tried to I said, ever again, I don't want to listen. If you ever do, I was 17, as you can imagine. If you ever again, and the second thing, I want you to leave, ever again. He tried and then after that he left. But still today, my mom's skin is completely damaged. So I understand why you guys talking about, because I went through that. And I also went through the fact that they're telling you basically a man beating a woman is love, it's a sign of love. Yes.
Yeah. And also, we also have that in my own community. In Nigeria, yeah, also a man beating a woman she's his wife, so he has the right to correct that. And the same way they correct children with in love by beating them for whatever reason, they apply the same logic to women. But yeah, answering the question of why society ignores this stats, in Nigeria, femicide is not even acknowledged. We're still pushing for it to be considered different from homicide, basically. So we do not even have stats on that, or official stats. So we cannot even say, so amount of men are killed daily. We only have the unofficial stats by organizations that try to guess the stats themselves. But from the unofficial stats we have from these list organizations doing their best, the stats have gone even higher this year. So like even as at the beginning of the year, I think the first 3 months of the year, the stats were already higher than what it was last year. So you can imagine. So it's terrible. So what I want to move into is I was thinking that when you know you can do something and get away with it, it's easier to do that thing. Like there's, I would not say motivation, but like it's easier to do that thing. What's the, I don't know if you would have the conviction rate for these crimes where you are, but like I think globally we already know the conviction rates are very low. I know for rape, I think since like the 90s here in Nigeria, the conviction rate is less than, I think, is it 100 or even less than that? So like the conviction is really, really, really low. So like men know they can do these things over here and get away with it. So do you think it's a thing of accountability? Like if they are being held accountable, do you think would see less of these crimes? And what is the conviction rate for crimes like this where you are?
Well, in the US, the conviction rate for rape is very low, and I believe it's under 1%. And that's why women don't report, because they go through all this trouble, they get raped, they go to the police, they report it, and they are often traumatized in the process by the police, who kind of threaten, who act like they're lying, or maybe they brought it on themselves for some, by drinking or by being out or by choosing that man for a boyfriend, whatever. And then the prosecutor doesn't pick it up, so he never even gets brought to court. Or if he does get brought to court, they say, oh, well, we can't prove this. They say, oh, she wanted me to have sex with her, she's lying. It's interesting, if you look up the stats, there are some women who will make a false report, but it's a small percentage. 90% of reports are true or more. The small percentage is like between 3 and 10. 10 would be the high end of false reporting. And I don't know how, I I do believe that accountability matters, yes. And if we could convict more men. I had a personal experience where I published a short story on a blog I used to have, and it it talked about my uncle who was an alcoholic, and I described him as really creepy and scary. And I didn't identify him as my uncle, but it was clear it was my father's brother. And it was supposed to be a fiction. I didn't think anyone was reading this blog, but my cousin called me up and he threatened me in very frightening terms, and vulgar, about what he was going to do to my genitals, what he was going to do to me. He hated me, and he scared me a lot. And I called the police and said, oh, I'm afraid, can you help me? And the response was, well, of course he feels that way if you're writing bad things about his father online. That's what the police said to me on the phone. I was like, okay, I guess I better get a gun then. I don't know. Nobody's helping me. Nobody's protecting me. I didn't get a gun, and he didn't ever come. It was just bluster. But it was scary. And that's kind of, I don't know. Yeah, people need to be held accountable. And I think our whole culture of, Mooney talked previously about her brother getting angry once and throwing a glass and breaking it. And the mom excusing him and saying, oh, he's just a teenager, boys will be boys. Whereas if she had ever thrown a glass in anger and broken it, she would be severely reprimanded for that. So I think it starts with how we treat boy children and teach them they can get away with anything, that we don't mind violence in boys and men.
Yes, this is true. Nowadays, there is some kind of trend going on in my country. I don't know if it is real or not. That's why I'm not writing anything on it. and I'm not saying anything about it, but I want to give you a little idea about it, that there are videos circulating that man come and arrest a kid, like he kissed her on her mouth, or like some kind of creepy things, and then in other video, someone shot him in his genital.
What?
Yeah, and
Oh,
there
that's
are many,
interesting.
yes, and there are 5 or 6 videos like this, like some kind of Superman or Spider-Man like this.
Is it on TikTok or where is this?
Yes, it is on Facebook and TikTok, and I am not sure if it is some kind of AI or I don't know. That's why I'm not,
Probably.
yes, I'm not talking about it. Like, but it is bad thing to take law in your hands, doing such kind of thing. This is not good, but it is also, whenever a person, like women is raped, there is, in police station they are arrest again. They do some kind of test to her, which is called two fingers test, and it is done by a man, not female.
Oh my
In
God.
that,
Yes,
They
to
stick it
check
in.
that if she is virgin or not. She was virgin
oh my
before or
God.
not.
Oh my
That's
God.
why, yes, that's why no one, if someone is raped or something like that, no one said
Oh
that
my
I
God.
did.
Where did they get
Yes.
the idea?
Wow.
So I don't know if people are, like Patsy said, she's going to, like
I
one
think
thing.
South Asia is on a very different wavelength. I think South Asia is on a very, very different wavelength. Like the stories I read from there, like it's things I've never heard before. Like I read a story from Pallavi recently where it's, I don't know if it's religious or if it's cultural. If a woman commits adultery, they stone her to death.
Wow.
Yes, she was
Oh,
stoned to death.
Wow.
Yes, in Afghanistan, it is like some kind of, in Iran, in Afghanistan. Thankfully, it is not in Pakistan.
oh,
But if it was like, it is still in Afghanistan too. That stoning, death, and all this, and it's very scary thing.
yeah, they
And
gather the community to stone the woman to death, including her children. Like they make even the
yes,
children get stoning her to death. That
yes,
was wild.
like if someone, if someone mothers did this, if our children is 7 or 6 year old, they have to throw first stone to her.
Oh.
Wow.
Mm.
Yes,
Wow.
it is going on. Like it is so scary, and so like it is going on, and I don't know if it may be going on nowadays too. We don't know anything about it. They don't show anything on this, on media or anything, but it is
Yeah.
going on.
Like a lot of these stories are not shown in the media. I notice I read it from like individuals that live in the societies. They do not show it in like the
Yes,
mainstream media.
yes.
So I think Luke should speak.
Yes.
I believe I always talk about Cameroon or France, wherever I was born. So I believe in France there is a pre-Me Too and after Me Too. I believe there is two ways to think about it. Before Me Too, it was really, I mean, the statistics are really, really, really bad. Regardless which statistic, femicide, people were not really, really, were not talking about femicide. Before Me Too, rape, conviction were very low because it was she said, he says. That it was always like that. You can talk to people, oh, she said, he says. That was France. And then you have Me Too arriving in France. So now people believe in women. I believe the conviction rate, is up. And you can even see with celebrity like Gerard Depardieu. I mean, 20 years ago, there is no way someone like that, such a gigantic actor like him, would have been convicted for rape. That unless you bring, evidence like there were witnesses. Other than that, everybody was convicted last year, and you have more and more than that. But now, when I go to Cameroon, there is no stat. There is no stat because there are two things. Femicide, of course, you have some stat because you are from non-profit, but officially, no, not. Why don't you have that? Also, we have to take into account bribery, corruption, not because of patriarchy, is because it's a country where you have money, you can get away with
Yeah,
money.
just corrupts in
You are
general.
very wealthy. I mean, people like us who have US dollar, you can get whatever you want. So it's not really because of patriarchy per se. It's also because men, they will know someone, the police commissioner, they will, you bribe them, you bribe the judge, and that's it. So the femicide, I believe people believe more in femicide. People are outraged against femicide than they are against rape. I don't even believe women report being raped in Cameroon. I will be surprised if you provide me with any numbers of women being raped. I don't believe they will.
Yeah, even here, so the reports are very low, very, very low.
Very,
And
very.
It's me. I think I've told Patsy and Moni this story before. I went with a friend while we were in the university. She got raped by a classmate. So we went to the police station to report. And they asked her if she was a virgin. And she said she was not. So they were like, how is it rape if you're not a virgin? Also at that, so like everything was just get out of here with this accusation. So she was not able to officially report. Even at the police station, she was sent away.
No, they look at you the way the woman is dressed. Oh my God, look at you, what you're wearing. You provoked them. It's your fault. So it's not even the police. I mean, your own family. Your
Yes,
own
family.
look at how you dress. Yeah, have that. Look at how you dress. And if the person, the man, happen to be wealthy, the family even welcome it because they believe, oh, you should marry, you should be
He doesn't
thankful.
want to be too wealthy. He doesn't want to have that much money.
No, you need enough.
Yeah, he
It
just has
has
to
to be
present
like that.
something.
And I believe it's also cultural. Sometimes it's not just about, when I come to Cameroon, it's not about the authority. Sometimes it's about the environment, your own family, your own siblings, your neighbor, your friends. They will say, oh my God, this guy, look at him. He has a position. You should be, he could marry you. I mean, it becomes like
Yeah, they do
talking
it
about
too.
you're talking about. So that's the way what I would bring to the table. Yeah.
Oh, I can remember like a few years back when I started writing on Medium, I wrote a story on gender neutral parenting. And I was asking if parenting from like a gender neutral stance would help in any way with because clearly there's something going wrong with how boys are raised. And I was asking if that could help because even watching adolescents, I like all I could see was this is a child. Like this is just a child who needs proper guidance. Like all I could see was this is a child. I was not looking at him, oh, this is a little boy. I was looking at this. This is literally a child. Children are very insecure. They are very unsure of themselves. They need reassurance. They need guidance. So I'm wondering if, because there's clearly something wrong with how boys are raised, there's something going wrong with how boys are raised in society today. And I wonder if to correct that, gender neutral parenting could be the way, like just raising children as children and not, in households where they'll be like, the girls do this, the boys do this, maybe the girls do the chores, and the boys do whatever, I guess. Like, girls are responsible for like the homes. Like, especially yeah, in my country, like right from when I can't remember what age, but I've been raised to like be a wife. Like, oh, you cannot cook this. What if your husband likes it? Oh, is this how you're going to sweep your husband's house? Maybe you get angry about something. Is this how you're going to be talking to your husband? That kind of thing. What if we, or even reverse it to guys, like, is this how you're going to be taking care of your wife? I guess. But yeah, like removing that old male entitlement we put in boys right from like a very young age. I told the story the last time of our field live stream of how I wanted to be a class captain. And I wanted to be a class captain because here in Nigeria we write something called list of noisemakers, especially in primary school. And maybe when the teacher is not in the class captain writes the list of the noisemakers, and you submit it to the teacher, and everybody on the list gets beaten. And the class captain is never on the list because they're not going to write their names.
Oh my God, everyone gets
class
beat.
captain, so I would never be on the list. And I was told that no, I cannot be the class captain because it has to be a boy. So I wonder if we can remove all of these things, like all this, oh, boys are supposed to do this, girls are supposed to do this. If that would raise better men, maybe. What do you think?
I think absolutely. And I think that men are actually, they're kind of tricked into thinking, oh, we're superior and this is the better position. But what happens, we lost Luke. Hopefully he'll come back. But what happens in that environment is they are also taught they have to be tough. They can't cry. They can't be vulnerable. They can't show emotion. And so it limits their capacity to love. And it seems to me that loving is probably the best reward for life, that's the thing that makes life worth living. And men don't get to have that. And so I think, it would certainly improve the stats about femicide and domestic violence and everything. But also, I think it would improve men's lives. I hope Luke comes back because I wanted to ask him about something. But anyway, we'll see. Okay, you go. What do you think, Muniba?
I think yes, this is only way. Like in my society or in my household, I always hear that whenever my brother or my cousin they start crying, everyone around him said, "Why are you crying? Are you women? Like women is some kind of low thing or something, and he is like he can't cry." So yes, suppressing these feelings and only thing that he can channel is feelings and everything is anger. Like anger is only justified thing which he can show. Like he can show that he is like my brother, he broke glass in anger and everyone justified it. You are just a teenager, he is just teenager, hormones, or like boys can do this and that, and all of this wrong start from this. And yes, women can change, the mother and father can change this. You like showing like father is, I personally think that the children, whatever they see in their parents, they try to adapt it. Like my father used to have like curly ears and hello.
We can hear you. Keep going. Uh-oh, she's frozen.
Yeah.
Well, she'll probably come back.
Oh, hello.
Yes, we
Yeah,
hear
we can.
We hear you, but we can't see you.
My God.
Oh, now this just happened to Luke a second ago.
Yeah.
This is where my connection is.
And can you remember the question?
I believe you were asking whether we should raise kids like just kids like gender
Yeah,
neutral.
just kids not looking at their gender.
I don't know if I am okay with that. I don't think so. I believe at the end of the day, it's you start when you become aware of who you are as the kids at 4 5, you, it's gender is what helps you first to clearly see who you are, to make different. And one of the first difference you're going to make in your life, oh, this is a woman, this is a girl, this is my mom, this is my father. I believe it's gender the same way it's color. Like you can try to raise kid colorblind, but at the same time, one of the first interaction you have in society, people when you live, like when I left Africa, when I live in Europe or in America, is race. You cannot escape it, and I believe escaping gender, don't believe that's necessarily the option. And the second thing is, I also don't like gender neutral. For me, it's all against everything I don't like is label. I believe one of the problems we have is that we label things, and when we label things, we make people to push back. They feel attacked. And that's what's going on with all the men I am observing, meaning the men online. They believe they're being attacked because everything has a label. They're being labeled sexist. They're being labeled misogynistic. It's true or not true, but the fact that you have the label gender neutral, it becomes a woke agenda. It's like they forget that when you're trying to say the message is, no, we just want to raise a kid to be a kid and raise them to do everything. But the problem is that people don't go into nuances anymore. They stop at the label level. So for me, I believe we just have to raise kids. Yes, you're a girl, you're a boy, but that doesn't mean that if you're a boy, that means you can do you're a boy, you do this, you're going to go through this in life, you're going to do the same thing for a girl. We have just to take away all the issue of violence, those kind of stuff. We have to teach a boy that physically you're stronger, meaning that when you're playing with one of your friends, even you push them, if you can hurt them. And it's the same thing if you pull a girl, your strength is too much. So you pull someone like this, you're gonna hurt them. I believe those are the things we have to teach kids, those kind of stuff. But taking away the gender, I don't know. I'm very skeptical of that. And also I believe people will push back. They won't try to understand everything you're putting behind.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Okay, so I was also thinking that how do we balance, because I'm very empathetic, especially after watching that movie, I'm very empathetic towards the whole situation. I think last time I told a story of my neighbors who, like, they raised their kids very differently, the boys and the girls. Like, the boys are they're very wild. Like, even I personally am scared of those kids, and they're not 120 yet. The girls very, very, very meek. They're always indoors. Like, you do not want to see them, not to talk of year of them. So, and looking at that, you would maybe think that, okay, these boys, maybe they do not know better. They were not raised better. Like, this is how they were raised. Maybe they were told that this is the right thing to do. How then do we balance? Because even in the comment section of the article that I wrote, a lot of people are like, oh, they're very pessimistic about this whole situation because, yeah, they all they feel is anger. So how do you balance empathy for the boys who are being raised in this society with holding the men accountable? Like, how do you balance the both of them?
I'm going to go first, if you don't mind. I believe the first thing is individuality. We talk about accountability, responsibility. I believe it's individual at the beginning. I believe the idea we have to stop saying all men are this or they are good men, meaning the rest are bad men, and it depends on which one you believe are good. Everyone else is bad. And the idea, oh, men are this, oh, men are this. Yes, I understand we have patriarchy, we have everything. But the thing is that many people today will tell you again, young men will tell you, we are not responsible of what society did. They're wrong and they're right. They're wrong because history is part of us. We have to embrace it. It's who he made us, it shaped us, it shaped society. So they're wrong. But they're also right in a way that it's not because my father used to beat up my mother that makes me a violent man. It's not because my neighbor killed his wife, that means my friend with his son is going to do the same thing. I believe if we start talking to men in a way that some say they're lost. For example, you were talking about the story of your little brother. I read it when you find him polishing his nails, and suddenly it's that. If you sit and you talk to him and you say, that empathy, like what's your friend, what would they say? What do you believe they would say that? How do you feel? How does it go with you? Do you believe? I mean, not trying to lecture him like you can do whatever you want. Oh, you're free, who cares? You can put your nails, it doesn't take away masculinity. This is BS because yes, you can say that, but at the end of the day, he's the one who is going to be with his friend tomorrow. So you can lecture him as much as you want, but 2 days, if he want to go out, he's going to be with his friend. The thing is try to give him space where people can express themselves, they can go through whatever, and you can just listen. And then I believe young men want to be listened to. They want someone to acknowledge that the world is tough for them because they're trying to navigate around gender equality, feminism, and losing something that used to be for men. Work today, women are well more educated than men. So the workplace today, you have more educated women than men. So when you're looking for a job, the men, that's what they used to be, men everywhere. No, women are more qualified. So they will get a job. So you have to take care of, I believe those are the things we have to empathy mean. We have to also acknowledge that it's not, because the response of women is that, we've been going through patriarchy for so many, why are we going to care about men? Because they're part of society and you're part of society. So that's the way I would believe if we listen, if we give people space to understand that the world has changed, maybe men are gonna start saying, oh, okay, we are not the enemy. Men today believe they are the enemy. Not all of them, mostly young men. I don't believe men my age believe they are the enemy. Men my age use that to make money or to be elected, those kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I really like hearing your point of view because it's different than the female point of view. And I do agree that we need to consider men if we want to change society, because we're not going to be able to do it by ourselves. It does feel to me like society is changing. And I don't know, there's also lots of dangers. I mean, there's this extremism going on. And so we need to frame our message in a way that doesn't push people apart, if possible, because if we can come together. So I mean, this is kind of unrelated, but in the US right now, I'm very concerned about our president and what he's doing. And I think the whole population is kind of just like surprised and and unable to act because we can't even fathom what's going on. And we don't have any power that way, you know, when we're just sort of.
Is it with the Venezuela?
Yeah. And the people who are against that, we have to come together. I mean, it's very important to come together, and it's the same with increasing gender equality. We have to bring the men and women together instead of saying, okay, you go there, you go there. Although it sounds pleasant to me to have an all-female society, but I don't think it's going to work out that way. And I'm
Yes.
also, I just
Yes.
wanted to ask Luke one thing. I'm interested in your publication, The Manosphere. I read the update you had today because it kind of tells us what's happening with these characters who are running all this misogyny. And I'm curious, what are they doing? Are they, you know, fighting? What are they talking about? So anyway, I find it interesting, but I I noticed that you don't actually put your stories in your publication. You send them out as a newsletter, and I'm just wondering if that's a strategy or why that is. Because when I go to the Manosphere, it says no stories here, and I just wanted to ask you that while we had a chance, and then I know Muniba has something to say. But what do you think, Luke? What is your intention with the Manosphere? Does everyone have to subscribe to the newsletter, or are you going to have a publication?
I want people to subscribe to the newsletter because for me, it's more like a project. It's something I believe we're talking about. How do we bring everyone together? I know there is no way men can live without women. There is no way women can live without men. And what scares me most is that with AI is taking entry-level jobs. It will even get worse with years to come. The problem is that with entry-level jobs, for a while it used to be for women, but now women are more qualified than men. So women are not going for the entry-level jobs. So it's men. The problem is when you're going to have less and less men with jobs, what does it mean? We were talking about femicide. Imagine a man who is married, will spend the whole day at home drinking because the woman goes to work, she's the one in charge with everything. She comes home when she cannot even breathe because and then boom. And I believe we're not, because what we don't is like work for many men used to say who they were. That's through work they kind of find their place in society. Through work they believe in their status as men and everything. But this is going to start going away. So what does it mean when we live in such a polarized society? So polarized. I haven't seen that in my lifetime. So what does it mean, the extremism you were talking about? So for me, I want people to subscribe so that, because the idea is to have events that a way we can really discuss it, because I believe this community is going to be the next step. That's what we need. It's building this community where people will have to talk together, because a machine anyway are going to do anything else. So that's what I'm trying to do. Is the first step. I want people to subscribe, and then the next step is going to have live events where we can really talk to each other. That's
Okay, thank you.
building a community. Yes.
That's really nice.
Muniba, I'm sorry I interrupted you. You were about to speak on the question.
Yeah, and I forgot about it.
What was the question again?
I don't know.
Gender neutral.
Just
No, it wasn't gender neutral. The balance. Yes. How do you balance?
yeah.
Yes, balance. Yes, Luke is like very correct that balance is very important, very important. Like in my eyes, my household, like my husband and his 5 friends and cousins, like they are like group, and two of them like my husband and one other, they just become only gap of 1 day. My daughter and his daughter born on like only gap of 1 day. Yes. My daughter is older, 1 day older than his daughter. And so he is a completely opposite of my husband. Like my husband do all the diaper changes and give her bottle and like go and walk with her and talk to her. That's what, and I think because of this, she is like talking more, like not talking. She's just 3 months old, but she do all the smiling and ooh and this. No, and because the other father is not that involved, that she is not that much like active baby. So I think balance is very important, and for this I think everyone, it is not about all men is same, it is about the mindset, brain. God give you brain, like please use it and please use it. This is easy, this is very easy. If someone is walking and she is wearing short dress, it doesn't, it don't it is not this that she is going to, she wants to be raped or anything. Or if she is late, it doesn't mean that she want to be raped. And like this wife don't want to, her husband to slap her. And about this, one of very famous Bollywood director, very famous, he said that when what is love if we don't slap our wives, if they don't lick our feet, like things like this. And he did say it in tell like live show, and I was like shocked. So this is not something which came out of brain, I think. So yes, I think use brain and everything is going to be fine.
Yeah, we're already at the end of the live stream. We have 1 minute left, so I think I'm going to hand it over to Patsy.
Well, just this has been great. Thanks for coming back. This is kind of a redo of our Sunday event because I did the tech wrong, and I apologize. But thank you so much for coming back, talking about it again. And we'll be here Sunday. I'm trying to line up Dami to be our guest, but she hasn't replied to me. Uwanah, is she still your neighbor, or did she move? Maybe you could ask her in person if she would like to join us. I would like to talk about feminism versus femininity. So she just recently wrote a story about that. She's a feminist, and when she posted some pictures of her boyfriend, people responded, "What? You have a boyfriend? But I thought you were a feminist," as if you can't have both. So that'll be the topic next time. And it's been a pleasure to be with you all. And I'll see you next week. And hopefully, Luke, you'll come back sometime in future again and talk with us.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.